Hey guys, my name's Bridget and I'm here with some of the cast of the Lightning Thief musical, Ryan and Tishvan.
Hi, Bridget. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for coming. I thought we'd start by talking about some of the Greek myths since that's such a big part of the show. Do you guys have a favorite Greek myth?
Oh, definitely. I loved the Greek myths when I was growing up and reading them in high school and whatnot. And my favorite was always Orpheus. Just that whole story is so romantic and operatic in its scope. I just absolutely love that. But pretty much I'm a sucker for anything in the Odyssey.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I have a favorite. I mean, I was definitely like the psychology person, so I stick a little bit more into the reality of life. So I wouldn't necessarily, I can't think of one specific one that I would say is my favorite.
Have you both read the books? And if so, was that before or after you were cast?
We have both read the first book.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And I can actually say we both read it after we were cast.
That's good.
Yep. You want to understand it before you
Yeah.
you actually do the show, but I can't
Yeah.
wait to read the rest and then all of the universes that sprung
Yeah.
off of them.
Yeah, he made quite a lot of different
So many
universes.
books to get to, and I love the first Percy Jackson and the Olympians book, so I just know I'm going to love the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I did a lot of research at least on like characters and the development of that and the storyline, at least to have a grasp on it before being cast, so I could come with at least the straight stream of mind when I was coming in.
Nice. The first book came out in 2005. What do you think keeps people coming back to the story in its many iterations?
It's a universal story that appeals to anyone who has ever been 13, 14, 15 years old. It's people trying to find their place in the world, trying to discover their identity, what makes them special, what they have to offer to the world, looking for something bigger than themselves. It's what we all go through when we're teenagers. And I think everyone who reads the books or sees the show totally identifies with that in their past. You don't have to be the son or daughter of a Greek god to understand the struggle of being an adolescent.
Yeah. What do you think the musical gets right about The Lightning Thief that the movie kind of failed at?
The movie failed?
Just a little bit.
Oh, okay. Well, those are
You
your
guys did a good job.
Those are
Yeah,
those
so,
are
yeah.
your words, not
Yes,
ours.
they
but
are indeed.
if we're going to assume that the movie was a completely unfaithful abomination, if we're just going to assume that, hypothetically, then I think it's really just clear that, say whatever you want about the movie, but the musical itself is so closely fused to the book. It is faithful to not only the story that is within the pages of The Lightning Thief, but the spirit of the story and the spirit of the characters. I think that's why so many Percy Jackson fans and Half-Bloods have come to really love this show so much, because it's clearly written by fans of the book.
And it really does follow along the direct storyline. There's even direct quotes from the book, which I think people really appreciate, because there's some stuff that you don't necessarily need to change from the book, and you can use that direct language in order to still put it on a stage. And I think even from a music standpoint, the vibe and the feel and the energy of the music and the power, it being a rock musical, but then you still have the sentimental moments and the real moments where we really get into the deep emotions that that kids and teenagers go through, and like what Ryan was saying, the spirit. And I think it being very genuine and true to the heart of what the book is about, I think is what really resonates with people.
And there are little Easter eggs for people that like like there's a moment in one of the scenes where Mr. D furiously chugs a Diet Coke, and fans will immediately recognize that moment and appreciate the fact that it's just set back there, it's just a little Easter egg of that's what Mr. D digs, He loves his Diet Coke.
Exactly. Yeah, I noticed that when I was watching. I was like, oh.
Yeah, and even if you see when Annabeth takes off her hat and puts it under the, if you know about the hat, you can see those little pieces.
Yeah, when she comes on the stage. Yeah, and then you're wearing camo.
Yes.
Just like in the book, they describe her, she's wearing camo and everything.
Yep.
There are so many references, as we kind of just said, that come straight out of the book. Do you have a favorite moment when a character makes a reference to a specific part of the book?
I think mine's definitely Mr. D drinking the Diet Coke. It's just so, because you'll hear, because I'm speaking when he's drinking, and it's just a scene, no music, and I'll just hear pockets of little rippled giggles and whatnot, and it's like, those are the Half-Bloods out there, the ones that are giggling right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so that'd be mine.
So I saw the musical 2 years ago, and then I saw it again
Oh,
last
wow,
week.
okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, so I was right on it.
Nice.
And I noticed there's been a lot of like minor changes throughout it, and I think that they did a really good job making the changes of like just wordings of scenes and things. So how do these changes come about? Is it from?
You know what? I think about this quite often because there was one specific change that Rob made to the lyrics in the opening song. And I always think it's a dead giveaway because a lot of Half-Bloods and fans of the show will sit up in the front rows a lot of the time. And I've noticed more than once somebody in a Camp Half-Blood shirt like cock their head when a new lyric was changed, and it's like because they know the song from the album. One of the lines is in the day I got expelled is the day it got intense. It used to just be the day, you know, over and over the same line, but it's the day it got intense, and then the day it all got dark. And I remember the day that he changed that. It was quite late into the rehearsal process.
Yeah, it was.
And he just decided, no, it's got to change each time. And yeah, I love the little tweaks make a really big difference when you put them all together, the sum of the parts.
Yeah, and then that even changed some of the staging around that,
Yeah.
which I think also made, instead of it just like kind of continuing on as like a run-on almost, it ended up making that such a darker moment
And
where
made a little moment.
yeah, and particularly for me playing Mrs. Dodds, it really like sets the scene for like something's about to happen and we don't know what.
Yeah.
So I think it really intensifies that moment within the lyrics and within the way that the staging changed with that. And one of the big things also is the theater in New York didn't have side wings as well, so everything had to come from the back. So that changed the dynamic of where you could come from on the stage and how you could move throughout the stage and the usage of the stage. So that was like a big thing was to, which was a positive, of course. And we were like, oh, we could do all these new things because now we actually have like wings that there's two sides where you can come in and out of, which makes a really big difference on a stage. So that was a big dynamic as well.
Do you think you have anything in common with your characters? You both play quite a few characters in the show, so.
Yeah, I think to perform a character well, you've got to have something in common with some aspect of that character. You know, like I'm not a morning person, so if you caught me at like 7 o'clock in the morning having to wake up for something, I could probably resemble Medusa quite a bit. Just get away. And Chiron is the guy I wish I was, patient and calm and always, you know, got the big picture in mind, and that's a great character. And then Hades is probably more how I actually am, just wait, you know what, too much. Let's dial it down. You're at an 11, I need you at a 6. And then Poseidon is like me at my most relaxed.
He's very chill.
Yeah, he's a very chill guy, and nothing's ruining his day.
Yeah.
I would say Clarice is pretty opposite of who I am, but obviously that's in there somewhere because it comes out in my acting. I am a military brat, funny enough, but you know, that kind of like fierceness about me and fighting for your country or what you believe in and things like that are something that I've, of course, always grown up with and believed in. And probably some of my old students at Georgetown or GW would probably say I could give them a look and they knew I was mad, or they were like, I'm going to go that way and I'm going to take care of this because she does not play. And that's true. I have high expectations of my students and I love them to death. But they knew I was very serious about certain things. Katie Gardner I could definitely identify with because I am a little bit of a hippie. I'm always like trying to find the most like green practice that I could have. If I could like build an entire like green global footprint home, if I had the money to do so, I probably would. So I love that. And I think the squirrel's personality is definitely,
Yeah.
Squirrel's very smiley, but gets a little ticked off at Percy when he won't apologize.
Just a little.
Yeah, just smidget. So I definitely love doing that one as well.
What's the most challenging part of your roles?
Most challenging part. It's not any one role in particular, it's all of it. It's the sort of nonstop nature of our show.
Yeah.
How what the audience doesn't see, but what you could probably imagine, is what's going on backstage. Because when you're playing 8 or 9 characters, and so many of us are playing multiple characters, you're constantly doing quick changes, getting ready. there's only really one spot in the show where I have longer than, you know, a sip of water and a dab of a towel to sit, and that's during my grand plan. But every other time you're constantly moving and doing something. In some places, you know, if you, oh, I'm going to buckle one thing, oh, it slips, I got to buckle it again, that delay will totally impact whether or not you make your cue. So I've gone on stage without socks many, many times because that's the first thing to go. Don't need socks. But yeah, so it's the endurance of the show and the traffic, and that's why it's a lot of fun too. Because once we start, we don't stop.
I would definitely agree. I play a lot of characters as well. I have 19 costume changes.
Wow.
So it's a lot, and you know, I have a couple that are really quick, particularly after put you in your place and doing an entire fight scene and skrelting to the gods. While I'm at it, I run off. I have like the quickest costume change. I most of the time can't even get a sip of water and have to come right back on for campfire and have the endurance to get through that and a whole nother dance number and everything like that. So that's probably like my hardest transition, just because I'm like sweaty and tired already and then have to come back out for another like round of being sweaty and tired. I mean, but once you're in the show and you start getting used to it, it becomes like less of a problem. But of course I started out as an understudy, so the times that I would go on, I was really exhausted doing it just because my body wasn't doing it every single day, and it didn't matter how much I was working out every day to prepare for it, it's still not in the context of doing the show. But it becomes fun, and you really get used to it, and you figure out how to compartmentalize different things to keep your energy going throughout it. And but yeah, that's probably definitely the most difficult part for those of us who play so many characters.
Is there like some piece of your costume that you can just like keep on the whole time?
Well,
or-
most of my costumes are underdressed, so I'll have you know, tights and a dress and pants, and you know, so that when I get off stage I can remove something and then
Layers.
the other thing is already there. But yeah, so it gets very, very hot because you're not just wearing like a three-piece suit, you're wearing a three-piece suit with a snakeskin polyester dress underneath it. So it can get very warm, but it's a good workout.
And for the most part, mine are all completely different. And I basically strip it all, put on all new things. There's only 2 times out of all of the costume changes where I keep on a pair of pants. That's it. But everything else, it's changing everything. I have a wig change every single time too. So that's a big deal as well.
There are the 12 cabins of the major gods. What cabin do you guys think you would be in if you were at Camp Half-Blood?
I would be in Apollo's cabin
Oh, nice.
because I'm a know-it-all and I'm a Jane of all trades. I've done a lot of different education and have had the opportunity to do a lot of different education and gain degrees and being able to gain different experiences, and I love to learn, and so I love to be in different. I'm also a Gemini, so I'm always like over here doing this, over here doing that, ooh, shiny thing over there. So that's just like a part of my personality in general, so I would definitely be in Apollo's
Well, that
cabin.
sounds kind of more like Athena because she's the goddess of wisdom and everything.
Yes, however, it's more so based on the fact that I have a dabble in different types of things. So whether it's like psychology, whether it's music, whether it's dance, or whether it's leadership development, it's like all over the place versus Athena has a little bit more of a focus in some areas that kind of link together a bit more, whereas mine is a little bit more spread out, like Apollo.
Or Hermes.
Yes, or Hermes.
Yeah, good combination. Because there's a lot of singing and dancing and
Yeah.
theater stuff. So I'd say also Apollo, yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
I would definitely pick Athena because I like learning things, and I love to read. I just unpacking my trunk in my dressing room, and I thought, man, I brought a lot of books on this tour. I must have like 9 books inside my trunk. Man, they're heavy.
I know.
And so I love to learn, and also I'm really into politics and the strategy of politics, and I was in speech and debate when I was in school and college, and I was a speech and debate coach for a very long time, so I think I'd fit very well in Athena's cabin.
Yeah, that does sound like right up that alley.
And I hate strategy.
It's a good reason not to be there.
Poker players belong in Athena's
or Hermes.
cabin. Or Hermes, yeah.
Like stealing. And
Yeah, that's true.
everything.
Yeah, depends on what kind of player, I guess.
And then if you could play any other character in the show, who would you choose?
I'd like a crack at Mr. D. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a really fun character.
Yeah, he gets a great song.
Yeah. It's probably one of my favorite songs in the musical.
Gosh, I play so many because I've done the Sally and Others track, Clarice and Others track, and then I understand the Annabeth. So it's like, got all the female ones covered. So I would probably say Medusa would be really interesting to me. I cannot get my voice as deep as Ryan by any measure.
I hope not.
But my own kind of Medusa would be pretty interesting. I'm a voiceover artist, so I also like the kind of like murky, weird type of characters versus just always like the human-esque characters.
Kind of more supernatural.
Yeah.
My final question is, what musicals inspired you growing up to get you into musical theater?
Oh, that's easy. I was obsessed when I was a kid with the movie Annie, with Carol Burnett and Tim Curry and Bernadette Peters and Albert Finney and Ryan King. It's just still one of the most enjoyable movies possible. So that was a huge, huge motivator. And then when I was like 12, 13, I saw Cabaret, and that movie blew my mind. And so that those two movies probably made me think, musicals, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my first musical that I remember seeing was Cats. But then I also saw Aida when it was
Love
on
Aida.
tour. Yeah, and so seeing like Heather Headley as a Black female, she was really inspiring to me with like her journey and how she got in. And I did a career change as well because I used to be a college administrator. So being able to see people become successful regardless of making a career change, I think, and I don't think it hit me at the time when I saw her. I think it hit me like way later in life. But I think those types of things I can think about and say really inspired me. And my mom's also a professional singer, so it's always just kind of been there. I just was always really fearful of doing it and not having stability because I like stability. But, you know, taking the leap and finding something within myself and then getting rid of the fear of chasing your dreams and making that happen, I think really helps when you can also see other people who've been able to do that as well.
Yeah. Are you excited for the Cats musical?
I am.
Yeah, because they're making the movie. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you
for
so much.
talking with me.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah, and thanks for making such an amazing musical adaptation.
It's our pleasure.